Okay, so we're going to be continuing at question 42. So we're going to be doing question 42 to 60 of this paper one past paper. So anyways, let us just get right into it. So if you haven't seen part one where I did questions 1 to 41, go ahead and look at that video with the questions. I'll put the link down below so that you guys can check that out. But basically we did questions 1 to 41, and we're continuing from question 42 to 60, so this won't be like long. And as I said before, in that one, the main aim of the past papers is we're really just kind of focusing on the answers, because we do know that past paper questions like to repeat. And also another disclaimer is that doing only 1 year of past papers isn't going to seal the deal. You have to be doing multiple years and just remembering the answers, getting an understanding of the questions, and don't just study the letters because you're going to the exam and see shuffle it. So try your best to remember the question and the answer, and also please try to study in case that does not help, right? You don't want to go in there with only one strategy. You need to have a plan, do your past papers, your practice questions, as well as do your practice questions, as well as ensure that you are studying. So anyways, let us get started with question number 42. So question number 42 says the following statements describe the processes taking place within a seed during germination. So we're gonna say 1. So 1 says embryo uses food to develop radicle and plumule. 2 says enzymes break down proteins into amino acids. 3 says soluble products move into the embryo. The question is, which of the following correctly identifies the sequence of events during the germination of the seed? So the correct answer is going to be D. So first is there's going to be enzymes break down proteins into amino acids. Then 3, soluble products move into the embryo. And then 1, embryo uses food to develop the radicle and the plumule, right? Now let's move on to question number 43. One advantage that sexual reproduction has over asexual reproduction is that asexual reproduction. Now, let me repeat that question one more time. One advantage that sexual reproduction has over asexual reproduction is that sexual reproduction B leads to variation. So basically, we know that sexual reproduction leads to variation because all the offsprings are different. They are genetically different from each other, physically different from each other, right? And if we did asexual reproduction, all the offsprings would be exactly alike with the same susceptibility to diseases, just the same characteristics, right? So that's one advantage that sexual reproduction has over asexual reproduction, right? So the answer would be B, leads to variation. Now, number question 44. Pollen grains, which are small, light, odorless, and smooth, are most likely transferred by C, wind. Let's think about it. It's light, it's small, it's odorless, smooth. The odorless and smooth part is kind of like a distraction a bit. But from there, say small, light, think of pollen grains on flowers. How do they get dispersed, right? It says most likely. So if we know what pollen grains, we know that bees do help to transfer pollen grains, right? But let's just say if no bees decide to pitch on the flower, how will it get dispersed? By the wind. So that's why they said most likely, because let's just say that it's not we call it spring season and all the bees them out. Let's just say the bees them kind of do whatever them do, and it's just wind. So that would be the most likely answer, the wind. Insects, it is correct, but it is not the best answer for this question. Number 45. Which of the following is not necessary for germination to take place? The answer is A, light. Question number 46. Pollination is the process by which pollen is transferred from the anther to the stigma. Now we know that the anther is a male reproductive organ or part of the flower, right? And then the stigma is basically the female part, right? So in order for fertilization or well pollination, not fertilization, but pollination to really take place, we have to transfer pollen from the anther to the stigma, right? In order for it to get to the ovary, and yeah, basically fertilization is the end goal. But yeah, so now question number 47. So 47 and 48. So refers to the following diagram of the uterus of a pregnant woman, which labeled structure is the amnion and then which is the placenta. So the amnion would be the structure labeled C and the placenta would be the structure labeled A. Then number question 49 says, which of the following organisms transmits the yellow fever virus? And the answer is D, Aedes aegypti, right? And I think this mosquito is probably the most popular. It's probably the most popular mosquito. It did cause chickpea. It basically cause dengue. It causes a lot of things. This particular species of mosquito. So this is probably the most popular one in the Caribbean that everybody know about. Everything leads back to this mosquito. So let's just say you were in the exam and you had no clue what the correct answer is. Your best bet is to just choose Aedes aegypti and hopes it's the right thing, right? Because well, basically the other three are not so popular, they're not so familiar, you probably don't even know them, right? So the best bet is just to go with Aedes aegypti, which is what transmit the yellow fever virus. Alright, so now we're at number question 50, and it says, which of the following methods can be used in the treatment of hypertension? So, hypertension, we're talking about high blood pressure, right? So since we're talking about high blood pressure, the answer is going to be D, so 1, 2, and 3. So basically all of them. So yes, we're going to definitely try to diet, we're going to try to exercise, and most definitely we have to lower our sodium intake because we know that sodium does increase high, it does, it doesn't help, it increases your blood pressure. We know that sodium, right? So if someone has high blood pressure or hypertension, sodium is the number one thing that they have to cut back on, right? So D is going to be the answer. Now question number 51. Which of the following statements about meiosis is not true? Right? Meiosis is not true. So we have A, mixing of genes occurs. B, that is true. B produces 4 daughter cells. That is also haploid daughter cells. That is also true. And then C, chromosome number is maintained. And then D occurs only in the sex organs. The one that is not true is that the chromosome number is maintained, right? Because we start off with 23 chromosomes from the mother and then 23 chromosomes from the father, and basically that is what makes up the 46 chromosomes for the organism, right? So now, question number 52. The gene for coat color in cattle shows incomplete dominance, right? And if it's incomplete dominance, it basically means that it forms like this new color that neither one is dominant, basically, right? So a purebred cow with red coat means with a purebred bull with white coat, right? All of the offspring have rowan coat. So basically, this rowan coat is that incomplete dominance. It's that new color it's that new coat color that came about. So that's why it's incomplete dominance. So the red and the white mix, and we get this rowan color, right? So which of the following would represent the genotype of this offspring? So looking at the responses, we have A, RR, B, RW, C, RO, and then D, WW. So it says purebred. So if it says it's purebred, it basically means that um, both dominant alleles are there. That's basically what it means, right? So we know that this purebred cow with red coat has RR genotype, and this purebred bull with white coat is also a purebred, so it has two dominant alleles also. So when you cross those, that is how. So basically, what you have to do is to basically do a Punnett square, right? So I didn't do a Punnett square here, but you have to do a Punnett square in order to get the correct answer. But basically, once you have the genotype of both the parents, you can cross it. When you cross it, you're going to realize that all the offsprings are going to have the genotype RW. Because if you look at this, R with W is going to give RW, R with W is still going to give RW. No matter what, when you cross it, you're going to end up with 100% RW, right? So, yeah. So, B is the answer. Now, question number 53. Which of the following processes may be used by humans to change the characteristics of a particular organism in a short time? So the answer is A, one only, which is genetic engineering. So number 54. Four children born to the same parents have blood types A, B, AB, and O. And I hope at this point everybody know that these are the four blood types that everybody, if you're walking around, have to fall into one of these categories. Which of the following represents the genotypes of the parents? So, in order for us to end up with blood group A, a B, a AB, and a O, the parents would have to be AO and BO, right? So, these are the possible genotypes. So, these are the genotypes of the four children born to these parents, right? So, AO times BO, right? And you can see O, AB, AO, BO, and OO are going to come about, right? So these would be the thing for all the children. So this is the parents, so the answer is B. Number 55. Variation in populations is due to 1. Mutation, 2. Asexual reproduction, and then 3. Crossing over. So variations in population is due to B, so it's due to B, so mutation and 3 crossing over. So mutation and crossing over, and we know that crossing over takes place in meiosis, right? So during prophase 1 and crossing over takes place, so that does help with variation. And then we know that mutation is a change in the DNA sequence, right? So the answer is B. Number 56. In a particular plant, red and white flower color shows codominance, and codominance means that both are expressed, right? So if two heterozygous pink flowers are crossed, right? So the expected phenotype ratio of the offspring is, we're going to express D, 1 red, 2 pink, 1 white. So this is it. So if we cross heterozygous, meaning that the thing is meaning that it is different. So basically RW times RW, since both of them are heterozygous, we cross both of them for pink flowers, and this is going to be their offspring, right? Their genotype of the offsprings. So we're going to end up with 1 RR, which is completely red, 2 RW, which would be about 50%. And so these are going to be pink, just like the parents, and then you're going to have 1 which is white, right? So the answer is going to be D, 1 red, 2 pink, 1 white. Number 57. Which of the following features of cell division refers to meiosis? And the answer is going to be D, the amount of genetic material in the cells remains the same. Number 58. Which of the following statements best describes a chromosome? So the answer is going to be B, structure made up of DNA wrapped around histones. And then number 59, a species is best defined as a group of organisms that D can interbreed and produce fertile offsprings. And then the last question, 60, says natural selection differs from artificial selection because in natural selection, the environment determines the beneficial characteristics, right? So artificial selection, it is more controlled, versus natural selection, the environment plays a huge role in it. So it's not something that you can necessarily control or mold the way that you can mold artificial selection, basically, right? So basically,